We spoke obviously about the Antrim final in '73. I'm confused about the Ulster campaign here because Ballygalget didn't just play in the semi-final.
We played Ballygalget in the semi-final, and the winners were due to play the Derry champions. I think we're from South Derry.
I think it was Dungiven.
Right?
Never happened.
It never happened. Right? Well, we only can surmise that possibly because half their team wasn't there were maybe somewhere else.
Yeah,
you know,
incarcerated.
That's right.
It was something like we had heard. We didn't know it was.
But how did you find it? Because
we played our semi-final and we were told, that there's no final. From what that's my recollection of it,
But at that time, Antrim Hurling was so dominant that there wouldn't have been anybody to compete with them anyway.
Having got through Antrim,
having won the Antrim final, it was almost like, they couldn't have put anybody up against you that would have been significant opposition. I think we beat Ballygalget. We scored 9 goals, and what was it, 9 goals and 7 points? You think?
Something. It was 9-7 to 2.
I scored 2 goals anyway, and everybody scored 2 goals.
It was 9-7 to 2-2. And once that was over, as far as we were crowned champions and got our medals, and that was it.
Was it weird that though? Because is that underwhelming at the time? Kind of think, well, you wanted to, but or was there that kind of thing that the real battle was in Antrim, and that
yeah,
is that
the real us winning the Antrim Championship was our, there was great respect to Ballygalget that were nowhere near as good a team as we were, and Derry Hurling wasn't great.
It wasn't like that. Derry Hurling was not strong at that stage. In fact, the only hurling in the north at that stage was Antrim Hurling.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you won the Antrim Hurling Championship, you were almost de facto Ulster champions as well. There wouldn't be a team that could put up against you that would come anywhere near you.
We never thought in '73 when we played in that Ulster semi-final, stroke final, that we would never play again for another 52 years. Because we had a fairly, our team would have been a mixture of old and young, but with a fair few young lads coming through. We had some, as I said, I think Andy McCallum was 23. Andy McCallum was a super hurler. Shawnee Burns, they played for another 4 or 5 years, in '74.
That way?
I don't know what happened, I think. Well, I say football became the dominant.
Well, what happened? We won a few football championships then, and then what happened is that, we're a dual club, okay, and I hope still a dual club.
Yeah, still a dual club, yeah.
And what can happen is you go in waves. I think sometimes one aspect of the club is stronger than the other, and it's hard to have them both at the same time. So winning, senior, doing a double of hurling and football is extremely, extremely difficult. And it's not made any easier now because, you have a hurling championship on a Sunday and then football on the next Sunday and then another hurling, the Sunday. So it gets very, very hard. And it wasn't much different then. It was just, it's so intense. And maybe the hurling, I think, in the north of Antrim became stronger as the years went on, and the hurling in Belfast became weaker for a period of time. And though we had good teams, we could never really get it together again for a long time.
We were beaten the following year. We were beaten by Sarsfields in the semi-final in '74. I think we were half favourites to win that, and they had an amalgamation team, and they beat us. They went on to win the county title, which was, and then we were beaten again in '78, and then I think we went in the 80s something before we played again. We lost 2 county finals in the '90s. And then
I was thereabouts, but not just.
It didn't happen.
And similar to this team now, who had a run of just
6
everything
semi-finals,
everything that could go against them, and now this year, just every wee bit of fortune has just fallen in their favour.
We spoke over there about the trip to Cork, but if I can relive that a wee bit.
I think it was seen as a bit of a reward for what you had achieved, and it was a trip. Yeah,
and he's got the train. He's got on the Saturday. He's got the train.
No, we had the bus.
The bus. Sorry.
We had a club bus at that time, right? Mickey Gallagher, Mr. Mick, he drove the bus. So my recollection again, somebody can correct me on this one. We left on Saturday morning, say 9 o'clock. Now, to get to Dublin in 1973, it was 3.5 hours. Like, it wasn't no motorway. There was no
every hole in the hedge.
You were through every hole in the hedge. You meet every wee town, Dramara, Hillsborough, Dramara, Bombridge.
You knew them all.
You knew them all. Every time you got down, and we got to Dublin, and we parked up in Houston Station. Remember, we parked the bus in the station. But obviously all this arranged, and we got in the train from Dublin to Cork. As I said earlier, my recollection of the train Dublin to Cork was it went towards Limerick and cut back in or something. It was like it took you maybe 3 hours in the train. So you're probably on a journey of 7 or 8 hours. Maybe stopped. And there's no petrol station, no stopping the way down. You're
going to advertise now, are you?
Yeah.
Apple Green?
Apple Green. I know Apple Green. So, and then we got to Cork maybe 6 o'clock at night or something, whatever it was. And we stayed in I think it was a Metropole Hotel right in the middle of the...
Because the match was in Cork, wasn't it? It was in the athletic grounds
The athletic grounds in Cork. So we stayed in Cork, that's where we stayed in the hotel. And the Blackrock brought us to their club that evening for... I think it was a meal, and
was not suspicious of that at the time. No?
Well, I suppose it was. Andy would have been very aware of what was going on. He was tuned in, but we were told, right, you're allowed to have a pint of beer. That's it. I think you were allowed it. You weren't. So that's all happened. We went to their club and the captains there, and as I said, their team was over on the far side. We were then told afterwards it wasn't their team, it was like their third team, all dressed, and we were thinking that's their team, and it wasn't their team. Their team were in bed, tucked up, and we were brought to this. Don't think it was a party, but again, Andy being clever enough said, no, we're okay. Thanks very much to me, thanks for hospitality. We're back there at our hotel, and it did happen that way. There was no sort of like size, but I think of couple of beers maybe, we shouldn't have had anything, but in the end days you were saying that's okay, have a couple of beers, it was a different time.
Well, there was still this thing that I'll describe as the euphoria on crossing the border from the north, the escape, and the whole feeling of relief that you were out of the dirty dark north, and that you're going somewhere where things always felt brighter and where you had good times. And I played in many Sigerson teams with Queens, and that's what it was like. You went on a Sigerson weekend, started on a Friday, and ended on the Sunday or Monday. I can't never remember. Monday, I always did Monday anyway, whether you won or not. And it was the same thing with the club. If you got across the border, it was just, we can breathe now. We don't have to be careful.
That's a fair point.
Really?
In the 70s, there was a feeling. Around that time, there was a feeling of relief.
You were safe when you got down.
You got across the border, you felt safe. Yeah, because nobody's going to come stop you, look for you. As we described before, the thing in the club where the army just sort of walk through your club while you're sitting having a drink, Usually on Sunday nights they like to come in.
That's true. Maybe on Sunday that you're in the club,
But on Sunday we'd play and then we'd go in afterwards,
For you guys then, as young guys, 18, 20, whatever, how aware are you of everything that's going on? You know what I mean? Are you just living it?
You became sort of not immune to it, but you didn't think about it too much. You didn't, it became like your normal way of life when we were young. It started when I was 16 when the trouble started, 15, 16, whatever it was. And the guy was married with kids and all the time was finished. And I never thought about it. It was just my sons, not so much the girls, the sons, they never thought nothing like out when they were older. Where are you going? Oh, where's we going? What are you talking about? Why would I not go somewhere? Why would I not do this? And it becomes just a different life.
That's the way you
times. We were all different. You'd watch where you were and be careful where you go. What you talk to, and don't take lifts from anybody.
That kind of life was kind of normalised, and I know it sounds strange, but it was kind of normalised. You didn't question it so much. You actually had picked something like football to get you through it, because it was something that was positive that you could do, as we talked before, but an outlet for everything. Whereas the rest of the city was going crazy, So you were trying to sort of get through things and normalising what was happening around you. And
but it's funny you guys saying about coming here and sort of feeling at home, and yet literally a mile that way, this way,
half a mile.
Half a mile.
That's
it's a mad. It's like an enclave nearly in a way, like as you say, of where you guys just kind of felt, well, this is our place now,
I think very much so. Yeah, and I don't know. That's how I always felt. As you say, you come through the gates there, you're okay.
What would it mean, just finally, if Ulster next Sunday, as you said, like it might not have meant a whole lot back in '73, but now, like what would it mean, do you think, to St John, to this group of players, because they, as you said, and you work with them firsthand, Tony, like they have persevered. There probably was times where they thought this isn't going to happen for us, and now it has.
I think it would mean everything to them. I think it would be, you know what it is, I think for years when they were young, they won in the 1 year, they won a football fella and a hurling fella in the 1 year, which is difficult to do. They won 3 minor titles, they won 2 under-21s.
There was an expectation of this group because they were so good coming up when they were young, that it was thought that they would just be easy for them just to progress through and win everything in front of them, and it's been difficult. And that's and they've
for various reasons,
and they've struggled. And we nearly won a football championship
in 2017.
And things like that just kept happening. This is, we're into the sort of mythological stage here. This final just won. It'll surpass anything that they've ever not achieved.
And this Neil team, who we beat at Manor on two years in a row, went on, progressed and won All Irelands, won hurling titles, football titles, and we haven't. You know, we're saying, like, you know, and they did, and fair play to them, like, you know, but it's a different scenario. People have to accept, I know, it's a different scenario when they live, the way they live and what they do. I think it's slightly different when we're spread about, and it's different, you know. But from this group of players' point of view, as Kevin has said, like, you know, the expectation of them, and now they're fulfilling it a bit, and like the management that's come in this year, Chris and Jared, have done a first-class job, you know. No, I see how hard they've worked, how hard they've trained. I see, even as I say, they travelled to Leitrim on Wednesday night. They travelled 2 weeks with Leitrim. They travelled to Corgan, and they're doing everything they can to
make this count.
You know, and they're determined. You know, whether they're not good enough, it's to be seen. I think they're probably good enough.
I think the thing about this is not a team that's not going to give everything. In the past, I think maybe their mentality wasn't, you have to go past what you believe is the barrier and give everything and do your best. I see the difference in the team now is that they are just they put all that behind them, and they're just going to give everything they can. If they win, it'll be fantastic, but they're not a team that's going to go out there and not make it difficult for other people, and give of their best, and go to give a performance. I think it's a good thing. And I think at the end of the day, that's all we can ask them. We're not, we'd love to have a victory, but I want to see, just let's go out and beat St John's, let's go out and perform, and let's go out and let people see that we're still a club that produces people of this quality, still a club that is a dual club that have footballers and hurlers, and that we can perform at the highest level.